Hello, welcome to our Holistic Health and Wellness for Busy Women session. I'm Alexandra Sampson. I am one of the franchise partners here at Project LeanNation Ballantyne, and I'm joined here with our amazing guests, Maddison Sutton and Andrea Lehman. And tonight is the first session of a series of women's health and wellness talks that we will be hosting this fall, which I'm excited to share more information about. But before I do so, I want to take a moment to pause because we are live recording this on September 11th. And it's a day that has a lot of meaning within our country. And we want to take a moment to just pause to give a reflection point for those that have lost their lives, as well as given so much in that. And I think also it's kind of timely right now too, because there's so much going on locally, nationally, globally as well. So we're just going to take a moment to just pause and reflect. All right. So we're glad to have you, those of you who are here in the room, as well as those that are watching this as a live replay of our live recording for this session. And tonight we're going to be exploring inner balance and how, as women, we can really build energy, resilience, and well-being, even in the midst of being crazy busy, which so many of us have so many demands on our time, whether it's from family, if it's work, career, all the things. And sometimes it can feel like putting our own personal health and wellness is something that has to take a back seat to all those things. And so tonight we're going to talk a bit about how we can really prioritize our health and wellness in spite of and through all of those demands. And so tonight we are joined by Maddison Sutton. I'm going to introduce both of our guests, and then they'll talk a little bit more about their practices. But Maddison is a certified integrative health coach and functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. She has roots in the high pressure tech world, which I'm sure she'll share some information with us about. And she specializes in helping high achieving women break free from burnout and rebuild vibrant health. And then we also are joined with Dr. Andrea Lehman, and she is with Carolina Integrative Health and Wellness. She's a doctor of naturopathic medicine and chiropractic medicine. And she is training in both conventional medicine as well as naturopathic wellness. So that's really exciting to hear. We can't wait to hear more about that. She helps women uncover root causes and achieve whole body wellness by addressing the interconnectedness of mind, body, and environment. So thank you so much for being here with us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
As we transition into the topic, I want to share a little bit about Project LeanNation, just for those who may not be familiar with what we do. We are a holistic wellness company that aims to help individuals live an optimal life, and we help support you in that through personalized nutrition plans, nutrition coaching and support, and also tech-driven analysis. And one of the things that we have the honor of doing is for some of our PLN Plus members, which if you're not sure what that is, we share more about that at a different time. But for our PLN Plus members, we often get to do weekly or bi-weekly coaching with them. And some of the topics that are covered in this 3-part series are things that we hear about as we're talking with them about the things that they're facing. And we wanted to have an opportunity to be able to talk about those things on a broader scale and hopefully reach more individuals who may be in the same boat. So tonight we're talking about holistic health and wellness, but there are some other topics in this series on hormonal health and gut health as well. And you can learn more about that at bit.ly or bit.ly/PLN Women's Wellness. But as we transition into tonight's topic, I want to start just with a couple of questions about your backgrounds and as well as your practices. So let's start with Maddison. Can you talk a little bit about what you do with Maddison, and then also share a little bit about your transition from kind of a corporate tech world into holistic health?
Yes, absolutely. So I started in the tech space probably, I don't know, about 10 years ago now, maybe 12 years ago. I was in engineering a little bit before that. So I definitely did not like graduate college and think I was going to be in the wellness space. And I really loved that world. Like, I really enjoyed it. I was in a startup here in Charlotte that was eventually acquired by a larger company, Salesforce, a big tech company, that pushed me to move out to California and San Francisco. And while I really loved that role and got so much from it, it was extremely high stress. And I was kind of really thrown into the fire when I moved out to San Francisco. I was working, supporting clients in Europe on West Coast hours. So I was waking up like 4 a.m. to do presentations.
Wow.
And I'm actually a person that's always like really struggled with insomnia. So just all of those factors, the stress, it really started to kind of compound. And it wasn't until my father was actually diagnosed with cancer that I sort of really started seeing like massive impacts to my health. So kind of while I was in this corporate space, I'd always been really interested in holistic health. I was introduced to autoimmunity at a younger age, in like my younger 20s, and that really opened my eyes to how important like your lifestyle and what you eat and how you live impact your health, and how much they can really impact chronic illnesses. So that was sort of a passion of mine. And then when my father was sick and I started seeing how he was being impacted and how he really did not know how to take care of his health, I was like, this is really what I want to do. So that's when I decided to make the transition. And with Maddison, my goal was really to help women like myself, women that were in this corporate space, that were running really fast, and that were starting to see the impacts of that physically coming out. And again, for me, that was really insomnia, but it was also weight gain. I think emotionally, it was really impacting me. And when my dad was really sick, it really, things just started escalating. So it really showed me how important managing your stress and really your mental, emotional, and spiritual health is, on top of the physical and on top of the physical piece of health. So that's what I help women with today.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we're going to talk a little bit later about stress management. So I'm sure a lot of your learnings from that season of your life, as well as the way you're supporting women now, will come in to play as we talk about that as well. Dr. Andrea, so you bridge both conventional and holistic health together, which I think is really fascinating, because sometimes it can feel like they're two polar opposite worlds. Can you talk a little bit about your practice and what has shaped your just approach to seeing the body as kind of one interconnected being?
Yeah, so I always kind of knew I wanted to be a doctor. I was always really interested in health. So I kind of went the traditional pre-med route and got a lot of experience in different healthcare settings, different specialties, which was great, and learned a lot from that. One theme that I, kept noticing was the typical, someone would come in with whatever symptom that might be, whatever condition, and the approach was, well, here's a medication and try it for a few months and see if it helps, and if not, come back in a few months and we'll try a different one. And so I realized that's not really what I wanted to be doing or what I expected to be doing when I wanted to get into healthcare. I really wanted to be getting to the root cause of issues and really figuring out why people have these things going on so that we can help heal from it from the inside out. And so that was kind of in the back of my mind. And then in undergrad, I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Terry Walls. If anyone is familiar with her, she's a medical doctor, has multiple sclerosis, and was, went from riding her bike to work every day to then being wheelchair bound and being told she'd be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. She didn't want to accept that. And so she went and did a lot of research and started doing research on her own to figure out how could she heal herself through nutrition, supplementation, lifestyle, exercise. And she was able to put herself in remission, started biking to work again. So I was able to be one of her research assistants in undergrad. And so that really helped kind of expose me to this whole different side of healthcare, where we're really getting to the root of things and then helping other people completely change the trajectory of these illnesses. So that kind of started to get me more interested in that. And she had asked me, have you ever considered going to a naturopathic medical school? And at the time, I knew about them, but didn't really know a lot about that route and what it entailed. So after doing more research and looking into it, I realized it kind of was the perfect gap between learning conventional medicine and healthcare, but also learning botanicals and nutrition and lifestyle approaches, and just a very different approach that looks at, your body's ability to heal from anything, and kind of the approach that, when you're given the right conditions for health, you really can heal from anything. And so I shadowed somebody. She connected me with someone in the area, a naturopathic doctor that I went and shadowed. Loved it, decided to go that route, went to naturopathic medical school, as well as I got my degree in chiropractic as well. And that led me to here. So now my practice, right now I've spent the last several years working with a lot of different people, babies, the elderly, everything in between, a lot of different conditions. Tends to be a lot of complex chronic health conditions. Tends to be a lot of people that can't figure out what's going on. No one can figure out what's going on. And so I get to see a lot of really cool things, which is great. But I really love working with women, hormones, digestive health, fertility, and all of that. So it's been really great.
Yeah. I love to hear how robust and varied your practice is, and being able to interact with people from different stages of life.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. So the first set of questions that we want to delve into is around nutrition, because that's what we hear a lot about, and that's a lot of what we do here at Project LeanNation. And I would say probably a common theme for a lot of our members is that I'm super busy. There's so much info out there. I don't know where to start. Like, help me, help me to just figure out, like, what are the simple, basic things that I need to do. So Maddison, starting with you, what nutrition strategies do you use to support just busy, high-achieving women?
Yeah. So I will start off by saying I am not the biggest fan of meal prepping. Like, I feel like it gets a little bit boring. But when I start out with a client, it is kind of thinking about, like, what are those simple, easy things that you can do. I think with all of the content that we have on Instagram, and like, it can give you this feeling that you need to be like making a new different meal every night, and that it needs to have 25 ingredients and it needs to be super complex. I really just like to let them know it's okay if you are eating like a meat and a vegetable and a potato or whatever, if they're vegetables, but like a starchier vegetable. It's okay if your meals look very simple. Something that I do, I work from home. So again, I don't love the meal prepping, but I'm busy throughout the day. So I do meal prep my breakfast, and I pretty much eat the same lunch every day. I add a little bit of variety into it. So I help them try to find those staples, those easy like things that they can meal prep to like make their mornings easier. And also, I'm just a really big educator on eating whole foods.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of confusion out there on like, what should you be eating? Should you eat dairy? Should you eat gluten? Like, should you eat these things? And I believe that like everybody is different in our needs. There are some universal truths, but some people do better on different types of diets than others. But universally, eating whole foods is good for everybody. So that's kind of the starting point.
Yeah.
And cutting out processed foods. That's like the biggest thing.
Yeah. I love it. Whole foods, reduce processed foods.
And
keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Like, one of the biggest things I tell moms, I'm like, order the groceries. Like, order the groceries, eliminate that step. Do something like a Project LeanNation where you have easy meals at the ready at home when the day gets busier than you expected. Like, always have foods at home, like good healthy options at home in the freezer. Or in the fridge, just to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Make life easier on you.
for sure. And I think your reference to whole foods is actually a nice transition to a question that I have for Dr. Andrea, because probably another population of individuals that we have the opportunity to work with are those that are using nutrition to help combat or address actual illnesses or health issues that they're experiencing. In your practice, how do you use nutrition and nutrition strategies to help people thinking about how they can help heal their bodies from different things?
Yeah, nutrition is huge. It really gives your body the building blocks to heal, and the quality of the foods that you're putting in the body makes all the difference as to how well the body can function, the efficiency of metabolism, and all these different things. So, yeah, nutrition really is everything, and it's at the foundation. It's really hard to achieve results in other areas if that piece isn't there. And so I find that people are trying to get sometimes a little too complex with things, when in reality we have to start at the basics. You have to start with your nutrition, and then you build upon that, because if that piece isn't there, it makes it so much harder to accomplish other things.
Yeah.
And I agree completely with that approach of just keeping it simple. I think nowadays social media and everything makes things really complicated, and I like to keep it simple. Whole foods, good quality protein, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, foods that your great-great-grandparents would recognize. The less you have to read a label, the better, because labels can get complicated. So I think just really starting there and trying to eat in season, in tune with nature, that can really make such a difference.
Yeah, that's good. And you both named some things I think are helpful. Whole foods, reading the labels, making sure that the labels are as short as possible, and that the ingredients are things that we can read and understand. Any other nutrition strategies, just generally speaking, that either of you would share?
Maybe something I would say, and I would love to hear your opinion on this. I feel like I also get a lot of women that are struggling with hormone imbalance or infertility. I also work with a lot of women that are like post-menopause, that are struggling with weight gain and hormone issues. And I think for like the generation, my generation and above, there's still these thoughts that we need to be like limiting calories and like limiting fats and things. And I think people really need to be educated on how like limiting healthy fats and not eating for blood sugar balance and trying to restrict your body can really harm your body. So I think, trying to shift that focus from like, quantity of calories to quality of calories is really important.
Yeah, that's really good, because we have, in our opportunity to coach members, that's another thing that we're often emphasizing is eating enough, is so important. And there's a lot of information out there that make it tempting to eliminate like one, macronutrient, and just kind of trying to have the mindset of eating a well-balanced meal and how that really helps to fuel the body. Dr. Andrea?
Yeah, I see that. I can say that I see that all the time, where so many women are wondering, why they can't lose weight, or they're having these issues, and they say, I'm not even eating that much. And it's like, well, let's get into that a little bit, because you really need fuel for your body to function properly. So it's so much more complicated than, calories in, calories out. It's really about the quality of what you're eating. And when the body has the right nutrients and the right fuel, that is where things really can change pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay. I want to shift to stress. Stress and emotional well-being, because I think, at least in my friend circle, and what we do here at Project LeanNation, I think that's kind of a theme that I hear, that so many people are just really stressed by different things, and are looking to find ways to address that as an aspect of holistic well-being. Maddison, one of the things you do is helping women to break free from burnout, which I hear a lot about, just people feeling super stretched thin, overwhelmed. What are some of the things that you do in terms of helping making a mindset shift around just being stressed and trying to prevent burnout?
Something I like to draw attention to is the fact that health is not, what you eat and exercise are extremely important, but that is not the only thing that drives your health. And I think when you are busy, especially a lot of the women that I see, like you were saying, they're trying to reach a certain health goal, and the only thing they're focusing on is their physical health and not their mental health. So I think like there's a big education component to like I'd like to do an exercise with women where we look at 12 different areas of their life, and it's like, how are you feeling about this area? And one of them that I always like to touch on is creativity, which sounds really silly. And when I was like kind of learning about this process, I was like, I'm not creative, I'm not, an artist or anything. But we get so burnt out and like so drained, and I think it's because so many of us are like working through our day at jobs that don't fulfill us, and we're ultimately doing all of these activities that are draining us or just like draining our cup instead of filling our cup. So I try to take like maybe a less traditional approach, and yes, I love meditation and journaling, but I'm like, how can you bring joy into your life? Like, how can you start to do things that like truly fill your cup and make you happy? And how can you put yourself in situations that leave you feeling more energized? And how can you start to eliminate those situations that are just draining you and not really bringing you any positive experience, or really leaving you with anything positive? So there are a lot of different things to combat burnout, but I think that's maybe something that people don't think about quite as much. Is like, how can we add in the things that really fill us up?
Yeah, I like that, of making it fun to find either an outlet or just some other way to relieve stress. Meditation and journaling are great, but you can add in other things that feel more like exciting. So
to be clear, I like meditation every day, but I just think it's something that a lot of people don't think about.
So Dr. Andrea, how do you include stress management in both the kind of natural and medicinal approaches to your practice?
Yeah, I think conventional medicine doesn't have a lot of great tools for stress. It really does come down to your lifestyle and your mindset and what you're doing in your day-to-day to regulate how your body's feeling. So many people now are living in a kind of sympathetic overdrive nervous system state where it's just go, 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 busy schedules, never taking time to really slow down and check in with their body, check in with how they're feeling. And so that is just so important, just to really be able to do that, and to do that on a moment-to-moment basis too. It doesn't have to be some big like meditation or some big thing if you're busy and don't have time. It's really something you can start to do moment to moment. Like anyone, anywhere you are right now can take 60 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever it is, and just close your eyes, take a few breaths, and check in with your body. How are you feeling? What's your breath like? What areas of your body are you holding tension? Release that. Be intentional with that. And then right there in a moment, you can completely change the trajectory of your nervous system, your stress response. That can, set the tone for the rest of your day. And then you keep doing that, and it just becomes natural, as opposed to, kind of needing it to be some big thing. Like, oh, I can't get to yoga until tomorrow, or this or that. And you really just have to find ways to check in with your stress and be regulating that on a day-to-day. And I think what you said about finding joy is so important. In naturopathic medicine, there are foundations of health, and basically each of these pillars, each of these foundations are equally important. Without any one of them, it's really hard to achieve true health. Something will always be off balance. And those pillars are, good quality nutrition, good quality hydration, movement and exercise, getting out in nature, stress management, healthy relationships, and joy and purpose in your life and in your day-to-day. And if any one of those pillars are off, it's hard to find balance. So that's a great example of how bringing some joy into your day and just having fun and, trying to prioritize that too can be one of the most important things actually that you do for your health.
Yeah, that's good. Your comments made me think of something around like chronic stress. So, because I know a lot of individuals, myself, I do this too, where I'm like, I just need to manage my stress better. But I do think there's also a realm of like, there are things where you experience chronic stress where it's like, okay, maybe I need to shift into like, how do I eliminate this stressor or this thing that's causing stress in my life? Could you, both of you, talk a little bit about like, how do you approach that with the people that you work with in terms of, okay, there are stress management techniques that we need to use when we're in the midst of a stressful situation, but then also considering like, how do I change my lifestyle in such a way so that I'm kind of hopefully eliminating some of the things that are bringing constant kind of stressors?
So I'll say I think it goes back to something you just said. And I think I have lived in a place of chronic stress for sure. I mean, a lot of us have. And I think I'm a person that actually like that stress and anxiety and like insomnia, like those are things that I will always probably have to you know, work on. Like the eating healthy, that's not hard for me. Like that's easy for me. Like getting outside, like that's easy for me. The stress, the sleep, like that's harder for me. So I think your point about like stress management and like relaxation doesn't have to be this big thing. It doesn't have to be like a 30-minute meditation. It doesn't have to be going to yoga. Like if you want to combat chronic stress, you have to learn how to take 5 minutes after that meeting to maybe just step away and do some breathing. Like it's building in a few times during your day. Like today, for example, I was super busy. I had 0 time to eat lunch, but the 20 minutes that I did have, I was like, I am not looking at my phone. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to sit outside and eat and just be in this moment and not follow that urge to like pick up my phone. And it's kind of just being like really just like creating those routines and of stopping and disconnecting and breathing, and it doesn't have to be a long exercise.
Yeah, I think that's so important to do, and just really taking the time to check in with yourself every day, and even scheduling that in like you would any other appointment. 15 minutes if it's 5, if that's all you have, but like setting that time every day to do something with yourself, something for yourself, because at the end of the day, there will always be stress. There will always be a new thing. I think that's one of the biggest recurring things I see with people is there's a lot of the times a mindset of, well, I haven't been that good with this right now because it's been really busy, but I'll do better next week, or I have a lot of birthday parties and then it'll get better once the wedding is over. There's always a new thing, and life will always be stressful. Just when those things pass, new things will get added to your plate. So really figuring out how to embrace that and just take a little bit of time for yourself, stepping away in brief moments, or just creating those little moments for yourself no matter where you are. If you're in a meeting, if you're stuck in traffic, you don't even have to leave physically to do anything. Just take a second, check in with your body, breathe, let it go, and being fully present is huge, because the more you're in your mind, it kind of creates these stress loops, and the more you can just step out of your mind and come back to your body and being fully present, stress can melt away that much easier.
Yeah. You both mentioned breathing, and one of the things that I've recently started to employ is box breathing in stressful situations, and someone recommended it to me, and initially I was like, okay, what is like inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, like what is that really going to do? But it does help to, one, give yourself a moment to pause. So I found it to be really helpful in that. And then I think also something else that you both mentioned, which I think is really important, is it's me taking a moment to check in with myself. And sometimes there's the pressure that there's so much to do, there's so much that needs to happen, like there's not time to check in to see where am I, and so the box breathing is also a nice way to say like I'm taking a moment for me. And so I think for those of us here, and if you're watching, the call is to take a moment for yourself. This, and you have to take it. Life's not going to create the perfect opportunity. So really just taking that in.
For sure.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit, We're going to talk a bit about recovery practices, including sleep, which I think is one thing that we hear a lot of with just insomnia, or just not creating enough time for sleep, or not getting enough quality, great quality sleep. What's one ritual or non-negotiable that each of you could share just around recovery or sleep practices?
You want to go first?
Sure. I think it's really important to have some kind of evening routine, some kind of wind down practice, whatever that is. Again, if you have more time, great. If you don't, set whatever time you have, but really just start getting your body into that relaxation mode to get yourself ready for bedtime. I mean, once the sun starts going down, that really is our body's cues of like, okay, it's time to wind down. And so being mindful of screens and loud music and bright lights and all of that, I really like at a certain time of the evening to kind of start dimming the lights and just kind of get that more serene atmosphere. And then just taking a little bit of intentional time too. I think it's just really important, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's taking a bath, reading a book, journaling, meditation, art. It could be something kind of fun that can be relaxing too. But just taking time every single evening to really prioritize that and let your body shift gears, because it's really hard to go from go to winding down for sleep. We kind of need that transition period, and that's what helps you do that. And then what I think is also really helpful that can be done earlier in the day is to actually get outside and get sunlight on your eyes, on your skin, as close as you can to waking up. And that can actually be one of the most powerful ways to increase your melatonin production at the end of the day. So that's a really easy way to kind of start your day off strong, to really set yourself up for success later at bedtime.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love all of that. I feel like something that I have a lot of friends that they all struggle with sleep, and they'll send me text messages at like 11 p.m. and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? My phone was put away at like 7. So I think your body really likes consistency. Like, it likes for you to do the same things. And as somebody who has tried like everything to figure out like how to best like sleep well, consistency with sleep has been like the biggest thing for me. Like, going to bed and waking up at the same time pretty much every night within maybe 30 minutes has been super important. So I'd say sleep consistency, and I'm a big believer of putting away the phones. My boyfriend and I, we stop work at 5 pretty much every day. Like, I don't care what else is going on, we're done with work at 5. And we cook dinner around 6. We maybe watch a show, but phones are away as soon as we start cooking dinner. Like, that is our time together. I don't need to keep looking at screens. Like, I have had my phone, my computer open, so we put those away, and I don't look at my phone again until the next morning at like 9 in the morning. So I think putting the phones away and being consistent with your bedtime and wake time is really big.
Yeah. And this is good to be focused on, because I think, going back to some of the things that we can get very like overly focused on in terms of nutrition and movement and exercise, I do think that recovery is one of those things that we don't often pay enough attention to. And that's really like our time when we're sleeping and we're kind of giving our minds and our bodies time to rest, are the moments where our body is really doing that healing and recovering and preparing for the next day. And so it's so important. And so I'm glad that you shared some insight and some tips on ways that we can recover better. Another thing we wanted to talk about, just also kind of in the realm of like non-traditional, outside of nutrition, outside of movement, is other holistic modalities. So things that individuals can do that are not in those realms, that are other ways to also help us to be well, or focus on wellness. We've been recently working with a couple of community partners where members have been exploring like infrared sauna. Perspire Sauna is one of our partners that we've been partnering with this week. And then also Stretch Lab Blakeney is coming to our area, and they do stretching. So any other holistic modalities that you all champion or have recommended to your clients?
Yeah,
Andrea, you want to go first?
Sure. There's so many. So sometimes it can get overwhelming
Yes.
for people. I know there's a lot out there, and I feel like every day there's new things coming about. But I think things that just kind of help support your body's natural detox mechanisms and pathways. Saunas are great. Infrared is great. That heat, even hot-cold contrast is really great for the body. Dry skin brushing and rebounding and lymphatic massage is really great for the body. Epsom salt baths, even, that can be a relaxing evening thing you do too. So I think any of those tools definitely have their place and can be really helpful, as long as it's not adding more stress. You know, some people kind of feel like they need to be doing all the things to be healthy, and then we have to talk about, like, okay, this maybe isn't the healthiest if it's adding more stress to your plate. So just knowing that they're just there for support to add in when you do have the time and the capacity to do that. And when you don't, that's okay too. Just go home and do a little hot and cold contrast in your shower. And then when you have extra time, you know, those other tools can really help just add more to your healing journey.
Yeah, I love that.
I love a sauna. I like doing the contrast therapy a lot, specifically the sauna. The cold plunge,
right?
The cold plunge is harder. It's not quite as fun as the sauna,
right.
but I do a little bit of both. So I love that. I'm a big fan of oil pulling for detoxing. Like, that's something that I do in my morning routine. Just makes you like feel like clean and like you're getting all of the bad stuff out. So I'm a big fan of oil pulling. And then, you know, this isn't really like maybe a biohacking technique, but I love journaling. Like, journaling, it kind of, you know, flows into that mental health piece. I think, you know, a journey that I went on like very heavily was leaving the corporate world and starting my own business, and that was just like such a self-exploration experience. And I don't know, I think a lot with a lot of my clients that I see, they're always really interested in the physical health aspect, but there's this overwhelming theme of like the mental health is probably not where it needs to be also. So finding those practices to really support your mental health, for me, that's journaling. I do it every single morning. I absolutely love it. I think it's just as good, if not better, than therapy. So yeah, those would be my top ones.
Okay. So I have to ask, okay, can you share with us a little bit more about what is oil pooling? That sounds really...
Yeah, so pretty much all of my loved ones that I've tried to get on oil pulling, they're like, absolutely
They're like,
not.
no.
They're like, it's disgusting, and it is hard to kind of get started with. But basically, you melt like about a tablespoon of coconut oil, just like on the stove top, or I have like little packets, and you swish it around in your mouth for 20 minutes. And then kind of like, you know, spit it out, put it in the trash can, whatever. And the purpose is, I mean, your mouth, like, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you can like taste it. You're like, all right, this is not as fresh as it could be. Like, there's something not great going on in there. So it helps to like remove and pull out those toxins in your body. I mean, your mouth is like a gateway into your body, and it's also like a lot of those toxins at night are coming out of your body, and they're coming out through your mouth. So it helps to really clean that area. You know, people don't think about the fact that your digestion starts in your brain and your mouth. And so having a clean, healthy mouth is key to having good digestion. It also just makes your breath smell good, and it whitens your teeth. So like kind of all around is, I think, a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start to wrap up here. But before we do, I just want to ask both of you to leave something for our viewers in terms of either one wellness myth that you wish more women would let go of, or share one small doable practice that you would advise someone that you could start this tonight. So one myth to let go of, and or one practice that they could start right away for better health.
I think a myth that, you know, I think so many women think they need to be doing more things to get healthy. And I think you just need to find your things to get healthy. Like, you need to find what works for you. I am not somebody that's in the gym all the time. I love my walks. I love my stretching. I do like light strength at home, but like I don't have a gym membership. So many women I talk to think they need to be in the gym like 5 days a week. And you know what? That maybe at some point in your life that will work for you, because I mean, strength as you age is really important. But if you can't do that right now, like find what works for you. That is going to be better for you than trying to fit in the things that don't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because I think that's such a big part of my practice as well, is really the mindset of less is more. And most of the time I'm actually figuring out how to get my patients to do less, take less supplements. Let's do less. Let's do the things that you need and that are going to be right for you and help you. And that might be completely different than what somebody else needs.
Yeah.
But let's do less and let's keep it simple. And then with that as well, I think just the concept of consistency over perfection is really important. So many people think if they're not doing everything perfectly, then it was just a wash and they have to start over on Monday. And that's really not the case. I mean, every day you can be making small choices to choose better for your health. And that can be small things. And over time that builds up. But I think it's really important just to have that consistency. What you do day in and day out every day is going to have a much bigger impact on your health than having 3 weeks where you do really great, but then you fall off the wagon because it wasn't sustainable. So I think just finding one health habit, one new thing that you can change today and tomorrow, and then sticking to that is more important than, making things really complicated.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for sharing lots of great insight and wisdom for us. Before we wrap completely, I would love for you both to share, if anyone wants to get in touch with you or explore how they can work with you, share how they can connect with you.
Yeah.
Let's start with Maddison.
For me, it would just be going to my website. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. It's wellwithmaddison.com.
Yeah, and you can go to Carolina Integrative HW for health and wellness.com. We're also on social media, so whatever is easiest to reach out, but usually the website is the easiest for people to get more information, schedule an appointment if you want to.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for both of you being here, and be sure to tune in for the next couple of sessions in the series for more great information and on how to promote wellness for women. Thank you.
Thank you.